So how much tawfiq for nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes from Allah Himself, and how much comes from us as the individual, as the abid?
Very good question. For sure, for doing everything, we need tawfiq. What is tawfiq? Tawfiq is jam'ul asbab. You know, sometimes to do something you need many factors. For example, for us to be here today, we needed tawfiq. Yeah? I had to be able to come, you had to be able to come, we should have, place, electricity, facilities, health, security, no last minute problems. Some of the brothers and sisters were registered, but they couldn't come because they had accident or other problems. Yeah? So many things had to come together so that today we meet. Okay? And we don't have control over these things. But it is not also by chance. So sometimes what we do can give us tawfiq for doing in future, or taking away tawfiq. Of course, I'm not saying whoever has not come here today has not tawfiq, but I'm saying sometimes it's like this. Tawfiq is not arbitrary. If you have dua of your parents, this is very important. If you respect your parents, if you respect your teachers, teachers are also very important because they are spiritual parents. If you help poor people, if you give charity, these are all giving you tawfiq. If you are grateful, gives tawfiq. So we need tawfiq, but tawfiq is also not coming without reason, by chance. So we have to be careful not to lose tawfiq. One of the things that make us lose tawfiq is when you don't appreciate opportunities that you have. Kufranun ni'mah, not to be grateful, makes you have less and less tawfiq.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Jazakumullah khairan. I have two questions. One is directly related to what we're talking about, and the other one is a general question.
Yes.
So when you mentioned al-muqarrabun in the Quran, you mentioned you choose the two verses talking about the Sahara. But in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, we have like أولئك المقربون في جنات النعيم ثلة من الأولين وثلة من الآخرين. Can we consider this ayah is talking about the same muqarrabun that we were talking about?
Yes. السابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون. Who are sabiqun? Those who precede, those who do things out of joy. With the power of love, you can do things very fast.
So it's not talking about just the imams or the prophets or...
No, it's more than.
Okay, my second question is related to dua.
Yes.
Sometimes we are confused when it comes to dua. There is some narration that tell us to just like not to ask a lot of questions, like do the dua. Allahumma if'al bima anta ahla wa la taf'al bima ana ahla. Other narrations said no, Allah loves to hear us doing a lot of dua. So should we keep it just short and simple as a dua, or should we?
It is important to keep your conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open and mention your hajat as detailed as possible. Because it is a sign of, sometimes, it's a sign of arrogance not to mention by details. It sometimes can be a sign of arrogance. You know that what I need, why should I say? It's not good. Sometimes people don't mention the details because they are embarrassed. That's totally two different experiences. Sometimes, we stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we say, oh Allah, I don't know what to say. I need everything. But I feel embarrassed to say because, you have already given me so much that I, cannot say anything. This is good. Sometimes you are wordless to say. But sometimes, no, say, give me everything. So why you don't mention things? Say what you want. Don't say, give me everything. So we have to find out what is the adab, the politeness in that particular time. Yes. Okay.
I have a question as a
Yes.
follow-up question in regards to dua. When you mentioned about the dua that Prophet Ibrahim made to Allah, and then you also mentioned that Prophet Ibrahim was very ambitious in his dua.
Yes.
My question is more about the mindset of dua. When we ask Allah to give us something or to ease something, for us, what kind of mindset should we have? Is it a passive mindset that I ask Allah and He's gonna make it happen from A to Z, or I ask Allah and I continue working hard for that? For example, when we say for example, what is my role within that dua? And if you understand the question, if we have a role to play when we ask for dua.
In what sense?
In the sense, for example, if I say Allahumma at'im kulla ja'a', do I have to keep in mind that I have to have a role to play to make
Sure.
that happen?
Yes.
And how can that? What should our approach be generally with regards to that?
Yes. Very good question. If someone, for example, wants to build a house for himself, his family, and comes to you and says, I need, to have a house. Can you help me? He says, yes. Then he says, okay, I'm going to watch TV. Please build my house. You say, are you, mad? You are going to watch TV and ask me to build your house? So we cannot ask Allah subhanahu like this. I want to enjoy myself, you sort out everything for me. I don't want to spend time on tarbiyah of my children. You do, my children, best children of the world. Give me best of, rizq. This doesn't make sense. But if you are trying hard to carry the weight, Allah comes and gives you push, gives you power, keeps your hand. But if you are relaxing and lying back and having shisha as some people do, then you say, Allah sort out my problem? No. Pardon?
We have the same language.
Is'a ya abdi, as'a ma'a.
Now. So, dua of those who are themselves actively working for what they request, this dua is accepted. Yeah? A student who studies, takes notes, prepares himself for exam and also does dua, inshallah will help him. But you are not taking note, you are not reviewing any lesson, you are not listening to the teacher and just you are doing dua, doesn't work. Sometimes Allah is so kind that even at the time of difficulties He helps you, but He says, this is the last time. Next time, go and study. Now I help you because I don't want you, to have terrible situation. Sometimes I say, we are not fair. We always put Allah in corner. We don't, do things properly, and Allah, for the reputation of mu'min, has to come and help us. But He says, this is the last time. Again, the next time He says, this is the last time. But how many times Allah has to come and sort out our problems? This is not fair.
There's a question here from the sisters. Can you provide us with some practical instructions for the spiritual journey?
Yes. In the book, there is a lesson, an essay lesson about practical instructions. Of course, the first thing is not to do haram. We are not talking about this because this is obvious. But in addition to not doing haram, doing your wajibat, few things are very helpful. One is to have control over your speech, your talking. When we speak, we put ourselves at risk. Because, although speaking is very easy thing physically, even a person who is dying still may be able to speak. Some people, of course, they cannot even speak, but many people, even if their hand is not, moving, their leg is not moving, still they can move their tongue. So it's very easy thing, but it's very difficult to say proper things. Not to say anything which is wrong, not to say anything that harms people, hurts people, breaks people's heart, misguides people, takes hope away from them. It's very difficult. So, if we, inshallah, get control over our speech, this is very important. Only speak when it is either necessary or you have good reason. For example, there is a moment I meet my mu'min brother, my mu'min sister. I want to a little bit talk to that person to give him some kind of, acquaintance, So I have good intention here, but not without good intention. Just to make yourself busy, just to kill the time. So one of the things is reducing your speech. And there is a hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لولا تكسير في كلامكم وتمريج في قلوبكم لسمعتم ما أسمع ولرأيتم ما أرى. Had it not been that you speak too much and you let ideas which are not useful go around in your heart, in your mind. So basically, had it not been that you speak too much and you don't have concentration on good thoughts, you were able to see what I see and hear what I hear. So if you manage to have concentration on positive things, this is very helpful. And a speech is something that is very much against concentration. Because when you say something, it makes your mind busy. And unfortunately, many people, after they speak, then they think about it. You say, I said this, what did that person understand? Was it good? Was it not good? So, as we say, some people, their tongue is behind their eyes, some people is in front of their eyes. The other thing which is very important is not to eat too much. Eating too much, in addition to causing health problems, in addition to putting on extra weight, is also making your heart again busy and heavy. You are like a bird that has eaten too much and cannot fly. Imagine if you put too much in the stomach of the bird cannot fly. There is hadith which says, al-hikmah cannot be together with al-bitna. La tajtami'u al-hikmatu wal-bitna. To fill your belly, your stomach with food and expecting hikmah is not possible. So we should eat just enough, not more than enough. Just what gives us energy. And of course it should be halal. Another thing that ulama mention is about not to sleep too much. People in different age, they may need different hours for sleeping. But don't waste your time by sleeping, because not only waste your time, but also again darkens your heart. And unfortunately, sometimes people, not only they don't control the time, I mean the duration, also the timing is not right. For example, some people, for example, if azan is 5 o'clock, they keep awake till 4 o'clock and then they go to bed. So they cannot then wake up for a fajr. So the duration and the timing are important. Another thing which is also important is not to mix with people too much. And I'm talking about the people who are not benefiting you in your spirituality. You know, there are people that you benefit from them. You have good friends that remind you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With them you share your ideas, with them you do discussion. This is good. Or you go to majalis, lectures, you do some charity work, community work. So these are good, but unnecessary meetings, unnecessary contacts, especially men and women, to have unnecessary contact even with hijab is not good. There is no need for any unnecessary contact, and every contact consumes some energy. If you don't gain something instead, then you have lost something. Another thing which is very important is to be able to work with people, to be able to be part of team. One of the things that very much annoys shaitan, one of the things which annoys your ego, is to be united with mu'mineen, to be able to work as a team. And this is very important for spirituality. We don't have in Islam this idea of isolating yourself and saying, I work for Imam Zaman alone. Imam Zaman doesn't want us to work alone. Imam Zaman wants us to be together. So we don't waste our time with unnecessary things. We invest our time on building capacity of our community and make a united community. And this needs egos to go away. We are, for example, 5 people, 10 people working together. I should see what the majority of mu'mineen are saying. I do it. If we have a scholar to guide us, we take advantage. If there is no scholar, at least we think and we ask Allah to guide us. Then we listen to the view of the majority. These are very spiritual things. It's not just something social. To be able to compromise about your personal opinion for the sake of unity is very important. These are some of the things that we can mention. Of course we can mention more, but I love to listen to your questions.
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykhna.
Salam.
My question is regarding
the point of, it's a bit about yesterday,
Yes.
but it ties with self-development. So you had talked about the fact that the Imam not only shows us the way, but he also, see, I mean, we can tie to the idea of proximity, that, you know, he brings you to the end point, which here is to be qareeb, to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, the Imam, we said that the Imam not only has the capacity to show you the way, but he can bring you to the destination. Here we're talking the destination to be close to Allah. So now, how does that tie with, what does that mean, that the Imam is able to bring you spiritually close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is it almost like he's carrying you to him? And how does he do that? Just spiritual force, pure spiritual force. And how does that tie with the idea of إِنَّكَ لَن تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ, that you do not guide whoever you love, but Allah guides whoever He pleases. So I just wanted to understand how they are able to do that, although Allah says, you know, that they cannot guide whoever they want. The second part is about, we had talked that the Imam, and if this is not related, we can skip it, but it's a very pressing question that I haven't had an answer to. But we can skip it if it's not related. The idea that the Imam has, and we see this in the ziyarah, وَبِكُمْ يُمْسِكُ السَّمَاءَ تَقَعَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ, or the idea that, you know, through them the universe is intact, basically. الْأَرْض لَا تَخْلُو مِنْ حُجَّةٍ. So why isn't it that, what is it about the Imam that is so the Imam interferes in the guidance of human beings spiritually, but now the Imam is playing a role in the existential, you know, sphere? Why doesn't Allah simply not have that intermediate through the Imam? It's not even an angel, it's not like an angel who's doing a particular task. Here it's a human being, an Imam, and this Imam is now connected to the rest of the universe, involved in it being intact or not intact. The second one is not as high priority. It's a difficult one, but the first one more.
Thank you. In the papers I told you about Imam and Wilaya, there are 7 papers, Imam and Wilaya in Message of Thaqalain, on website you find. The last one is about Wilaya. The series is called Imama and Wilaya. Imams have Wilaya. Wilaya is takwini and tashri'i. Tashri'i is more obvious, legislative. So Imam is the one who explains to us religious regulations, religious law. But many Shia scholars, especially in the recent centuries, they have the idea that Imams have also al-wilaya at-takwiniyya, in the sense that they are able to function as a channel of Allah's mercy. Through them, Allah sends His mercy down. بِيُمْنِهِ رُزِقَ الْوَرَى بِوُجُودِهِ ثَبَتَتِ الْأَرْضُ وَالسَّمَاء. Or as we have in lessons on Islamic beliefs, if there is no hujjah, لَسَاخَتِ الْأَرْضُ بِأَحْلَهَا. Of course, we didn't find this hadith in this expression, which is famous, but there is something like that which we mentioned in the book. If the hujjah is not there, the earth cannot remain intact. So, Imam has a wilaya. A very simple form of this wilaya can be understood, for example, from the story of قال الذي عنده علم من الكتاب. He had wilaya, but very small, because he had ilmun min al-kitab. But Imam who has ilmul kitab, he can do many things. As Isa alayhi salam, he had wilaya, so he was able to revive the dead. He was able to give life to a statue of bird. Yeah, Ibrahim had wilaya, and Allah asked him to take 4 birds, and you know the story. Musa alayhi salam had wilaya, so he made that stick, you know, into dragon. And Allama Tabatabai has a beautiful idea. He says when miracles happen, it's a very important point. When miracles happen, it's not happening by bypassing the Prophet. Miracles happen through the Prophet. Allah's will and power comes through the Prophet. It is hand of Musa that when throws the stick, it becomes a dragon. If I throw it, nothing happens. Okay? This is the blowing of Isa that makes that statue a bird. If someone else has the same statue and blows into it, nothing happens. So there is also Wilaya Takwini.
We have a question.
There are two more questions. Yes.
Wouldn't it be considered selfish to only worry about ourselves and our situation? Some people find ways to criticize you and look for your mistakes as they feel it is their duty. But what should you do in a situation as by thinking about yourself and your akhirah, people consider you selfish?
Please repeat.
Wouldn't it be considered selfish to worry only about ourselves? Some people find ways to criticize you and look for your mistakes as they feel it is their duty. But what should you do in a situation as by thinking about yourself and your akhirah, people consider you selfish?
There is difference between selfishness and being focused on your own problems. You don't want, thank you. You don't want to be selfish, but in order to be able to even help other people, we have to first take care of ourselves. I normally use this example of airplane. When they give you safety instruction, they say if there is no enough oxygen, first put mask on your face. Yes? Then try to help other people. If you first put mask on other person, before you manage to help him, you die. So you cannot help him, you cannot help yourself. So everyone should try to focus on his or her own problems. But part of this process is to do charity work. Okay? I cannot say, okay, I go to a cave, sort out my problems, and then I come to the society and help people. No. If you are in the cave, you cannot, improve yourself. There are many problems hidden in us that we can fix them only when we are in society. When these come, before, for example, you start working, before you get married, before you go to the mosque, there are many problems that you may have and you don't realize. But when the problems come, you try to first solve your problems instead of nagging and complaining. Unfortunately, sometimes there is bad habit that we complain a lot. We criticize a lot. Why we cannot see positive points? Why we cannot see good points in people? You know the story of Prophet Isa alayhi salam. Once he was going somewhere with his companions and he saw a dead dog. Dog is najis, and if it is dead, then you imagine it's worse. Someone says ugly, someone said it smells terrible. Isa alayhi salam said, what white teeth this dog has. So even in a najisul ayn, like dog, which is dead, you can find something good. So there is no one around that you cannot find good things in them. There is no situation that you cannot find, good things in that situation. So we should be not too much critical of other people, more critical of ourselves, but even not too much critical of yourself to the extent that then you become hopeless. You have to have the balance. Just as much as keep you able to move without arrogance. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
You mentioned the beautiful dua of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam in the Quran.
Yeah.
When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually confirmed in the Quran that the dua was answered as well. When the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam makes the dua, he says, يُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَيُزَكِّيهِم.
Yeah.
But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala confirms that the dua was accepted, it's the other way around. It's وَيُزَكِّيهِم وَيُعَلِّمُهُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ.
Yes.
So my question is, of course the order is important, but in terms of spirituality, is there one that comes before the other one? And is our understanding, our studies of the Quran counted as Ummul Kitab? That's the first question.
Prophet Ibrahim asked for three things, and all the three are granted. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all the three cases that talks about that he sent that Rasul, he mentions tazkiyah before ta'lim. يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. The late Imam Khomeini used to say that this shows that tazkiyah comes before ta'lim. He used to say tazkiyah bar ta'lim muqaddam ast. So improving akhlaq of people or your students should come first. Okay? So this is the reason why Allah mentions tazkiyah in three places before ta'lim. Because ta'limul kitab is different from giving lessons on tajweed or memorization. Ta'limul kitab needs a purity of heart. Ta'limul hikmah needs purity of heart.
The second question is about the works of Ahl Sunnah. Imam Ghazali, for example, has a series of books about spirituality. So my question is, would you recommend the works of Ahl Sunnah? Is it the same content as what we would have?
We don't have problem about using what other schools have produced, but if there are things that you think might be problematic and you don't have expertise, so you check. One of our great ulama is Mullah Muhsin Faiz Kashani, and he used Ihya Ulum al-Din of Ghazali, and this is important that he used that as basis, but then summarized and amended it and called it Mahajjatul Bayda fi Tahdhib al-Ihya. So we use whatever good sources available, but if there are issues that might be problematic, we should get it first checked with a scholar.